So I'm really quite torn over Vampire the Masquerade 2 Bloodlines 2 because it looks really great. It looks really, really nice. I mean, if these are... I don't think that's an actual screenshot, but I think some of these in this article might be. I mean, maybe. Who knows? Either way, it looks gorgeous from what we're seeing. And if these aren't screenshots, then, well done, you fooled me. But they're saying all of the right things when it comes to this game, because I obviously played the first one. I was a fan of the first one. I actually used to play it multiplayer with my friends a long time ago now, and I really did have a good time with this game. So one of the things they're highlighting is the fact that it's going to be very political, which is something I like. I like the idea that I'll be able to influence the politics of the world of which you're in. It sounds like it's going to be very sort of like Blade-esque in many ways, which is cool. I like that. Apparently, the combat is something that they've completely revamped because, well, it wasn't very good in the original, even if the stories were good. It's set in Seattle and not LA, I think the previous one is. I can't remember now. It's been a long time since I played this game, all right? But it just looks really cool. You can choose your clan, you can get involved. It's all good, right? Combat, as they say here, it looks orders of magnitude better than it was in the original, including throat-punching melee attacks, backflip over the top of an enemy's head, grabbing guns on an ad hoc basis. Well, I hope it's not all just like quick-time events, basically. But yeah, I mean, it looks... That sounds great, you know. I haven't seen any actual footage of the gameplay yet, but who knows? Maybe it's out there and I just didn't find it. So yeah, they you know, it looks like it's really good from the description. This is quite an interesting way of phrasing it as well. I often look at it like, how would someone feel sexy in this situation? Everyone in the studio is like, yeah, I'll definitely go for that one. He's my bae kind of stuff. Okay, annoying millennialness, but that's fine. And again, it looks great, right? But then you get to this sort of stuff. She also said that they're trying to broaden Bloodlines 2 from the more masculine power fantasy of the original, so it appeals to way more people this time. But what about people who like platformers? Or people who like strategy games? Oh, right. It's just gender politics that you're looking at it from. Well, I'm really glad. I mean, I can't wait until the Buffy sequel that really kind of broadens it out from the female power fantasy that Buffy was. Because God knows that I, as a man, couldn't enjoy that. I mean, I may have watched every episode of the damn thing, all of the seasons, but, you know, I, as a man, couldn't have enjoyed that because it was basically a female power fantasy. And so I was just like, well, you know, I've watched it all now, but I kind of hated it because it was revolving around a girl. Oh, wait, no, that's not exactly what I thought, is it? That's the total opposite of what I thought. But anyway, right? Either way, why phrase it in this way? Why not say, look, you can just choose your character, like every other goddamn RPG game that ever existed. You know, you can choose your character. And yeah, maybe you can say, well, 15 years ago it was made by a group of men for, you know, with a male character. Okay, maybe, guilty as charged. But the thing is, it looks like that it's not just that it's going to be, you know, sort of like, well, we want to just make characters for everyone, because apparently appealing to the broadest possible audience is something everything always have to do. But that's fine. I don't mind that at all, really. It's and the whole thing looks great. I mean, if these are in-game screens, which I hope they are, then this is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And I really like a lot of the mechanics as well. I love the idea that the blood has the sort of tint of the emotion of the person when you drink from them, which I assume has, you know, special effects. Obviously, you must have. So that's a great idea. That's a great mechanic. And the whole point of like actually getting into the character of a vampire, really cool idea. And it looks really well thought through. And I just watched a panel of two different sets of people talking, and even the woman who looked like a total SJW with the SJW head wasn't talking about SJW nonsense. She was talking about the actual qualities of the game, which I was like, wow, this is sounding great. This is really sounding great, and I'm really quite excited about it. And unfortunately, I really wish I could see some actual footage, but it really sounds cool. Like the blood things that are called resonances, which your enhanced vampire senses can target people experiencing intense emotion, and presumably you as an actor in the world can influence that before to make, you know, so you can get the emotion that you're looking for. Really cool idea. Really cool idea. really, really sort of flavoursome as well. So like this whole thing, it's a great looking project, and it looks like it's being made by people who absolutely love it. And so it is mildly annoying that it's apparently woke as fuck and is going to shove politics in everyone's faces at the same, like social politics in everyone's faces at the same time. And the thing is, right, I don't even necessarily mind that in and of itself, but I'm absolutely certain it's not going to be a sort of thing where it's optional. As in, you won't be able to rebuke these people or ignore these people. I bet it's shoved directly in your face, right? Because listen to the way they're describing this. So, speaking with VG247, creative director said, "It's a political game, but I think it's one of those few opportunities that gives us the chance to let people make their own political statement in a way that's not cheap. I don't believe you can look at both sides of a political argument without understanding both sides. So far, so good. It's easy to say this is good and this is bad, but it's definitely taking some political stances on what we think are right and wrong." Right, okay, so it's not... I mean, you're literally undermining your own point there. You made a great point. Yeah, a political argument has two sides, but you're going to take a stance on at least some aspects of the politics and declare which sides are correct and which sides are not correct, and not let people choose for themselves and see how that affects choices in the game. Seems kind of weird, given how... the whole point is you can interact politically with the factions in the game and the characters in the game, but this political choice we're taking away from you. But it's very definitely a political choice. In terms of the main conflict, what is interesting is it's one of those truly balanced issues. The demo that the press got their hands on featured two different character creators. One that allowed them to craft a protagonist to their liking, which is great, while the second focused more on the vampiric side of things. Body type, gender pronouns, employment history, and fashion can all be toyed with for a very modular build. Okay, but I mean, like, I think the default is barista. Great. So apparently you can pick separate pronouns from your body type as well. So brilliant. But I mean, honestly, how are you going to know what pronoun I use? I may well have invented my own pronouns. Can I just type it in? Yeah, tap, tap, tap. How I mean, you're going to have a long list. Doesn't Facebook have like 50 different pronouns? You guys are going to need something like that, aren't you? And how are you going to keep it updated? You're going to constantly release patches for all the new pronouns that have been invented to add them into the game. Sorry, I'm being a dick, but seriously, like, making a rod for your own back here. And then in an interview with Kotaku, the lead writer said that the team has to adjust its perspective following 15 years since the original. Yes, a new religion has conquered the West, and now you have to change the way that you do things because, well, this new religion will persecute you if you sin against it. As this guy says, we have to be very sensitive about how we handle things like mental illness, and that was a concern for us and for Paradox in how we can make a mature story. But if we do anything, we do our homework and make sure we were punching up and not punching down. Brilliant. So you're concerned with oppressors and oppressed. You can't punch down at these people, even if there's an argument to be made that mocking someone, if you mock one person, he's a white man, then he mocks you back, and that makes you equals. But if you turn to the other person and say, I can't mock you because you're somehow inferior, and mocking you as punching down, defining you as inferior just by the language I'm using, then I'm not treating them as equals. Therefore, how can we call them equals if we won't treat them as equals? So this is something that Paradox obviously haven't thought about, or Brian Mitsoda hasn't thought about, but he has got really woke on the subject. So Brian, if you want to have a chat about like the philosophy behind this, I'd love to have a talk with you, because, I mean, obviously it's way too late now, but it might kind of open your eyes as to what it is you're actually doing here when you say this kind of stuff. What you're really doing is kind of cementing the inferiority of the people that you don't want to make inferior. You are making it so they will always be inferior, always be considered inferior. I mean, do you want that? You wouldn't want that for black people, would you? You wouldn't say, right, okay, we can't mock a black guy because, essentially that, don't forget the terrible oppression that black people suffer, and kind of trap them in that mindset. It's kind of a form of informal social Jim Crow when it comes to jokes and, social interactions. You can't, you guys can't laugh and banter with the white folk because there's something inherently different about you. And that is such a necessarily sort of an othering factor that you just can't join in with the rest of us. We're all going to mock each other regardless for whatever reasons. Yeah, we're not going to punch down though, because you guys are inferior, and you know we're very kind, progressive, forward-thinking people who are essentially still carrying a white man's burden. But we're looking out for you. And you don't even get to say, look, you know, I'm okay with you mocking me and having a laugh at my expense. That's cool. I want to join in. That would make me feel part of the group. It would make me feel included if you guys would banter with me like you banter with one another. You're saying, no, sorry, Darky. You're inferior. I'm not punching down. I am above this. I'm carrying that white man's burden. You can't be included. That's what you're doing when you do that. And if I recall correctly, they're going to be talking about mental illness as well, because one of the factions, the Nosferatu faction or something like that, if I recall correctly, completely nuts. And I've seen other articles. I wish I'd figured out which ones it was now. But apparently these things were problematic, and they've been called up on it before. And they failed to convert to the new religion, and people got in trouble. And oh my god. Suddenly, there's a whole... I mean, honestly, right? Someone just write the SJW Bible. So it'll make it way easier for other people to convert to this new religion. Because I feel bad for people who are just kind of like getting jihaded by the SJWs who didn't really know that they'd done anything wrong. You know, the rules aren't clear. Why don't you help people out? And then once you've finally settled in and created a calcified sort of caste system, where you've officially declared black people to be at the bottom, or trans black people to be at the bottom, and you've fully calculated their intersecting oppressions, then maybe we can actually just get on and play a proper game.